Hi, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for joining us for episode number 3, Watch Women for God. I'm Jen, and I'm here with my sister, Sherry. How are you today, Sherry?
Doing awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Um, we wanted to introduce something to you about discernment, what it is, what it means in the Bible, and we're just going to talk about it briefly today. And then next week, we'll go into it a little bit more, how it can affect your relationships, why it's important, and how it can help you grow mature in your spiritual growth. So, Sherry, go ahead. Tell us, what is discernment?
Discernment. Well, I like to think of it like overall is that little voice inside you, like your gut feeling, that little voice inside of you that's telling you either to avoid something or to go for something, even though you really don't have any like 100% absolute reason for why you should or should not do something. It's like your thoughts and feelings and desires in relation to our bodies. That's from Father Ian Van Heusen. He says, I mean, it's our interior dialogue that's connected to our body. So I mean, it's we all have that voice in our head that's constantly going, constantly telling us what to do, analyzing everything that you do. But discernment comes with um, kind of being able to tell overall whether you think somebody is good for you. Are they a good person for you? Is it a good thing that you're going to do, or are they bad for you? And you don't really have any rational basis for it. Now you can rationalize it once you feel it, but if you relate it to yourself, spiritually and just want to go like on a hunch or whatever, it's that gut feeling that, I feel is the voice of God telling you what to do. It's like your internal warning, so to speak, and that will keep you from getting yourself into bad situations, but can also bring you to good situations. It's discerning, kind of taking apart what is good and what is bad. And if you go to the Bible about it, a real good, introduction to it, to what it all is, can be found in Proverbs 2:11 through 20. It's kind of long, but I'll go through it. I'll read through it, and what it says is, discretion will watch over you, understanding will guard you, delivering you from the way of evil, from men of perverted speech who forsake the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice in doing evil and delight in the perseverance of evil, men whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. So you will be delivered from the forbidden woman, from the adulteress with her smooth words, who forsakes the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. For her house sinks down to death, and her paths to the departed. None who go to her come back, nor do they regain the paths of life. So you will walk in the way of the good and keep the paths of the righteous, if you listen to your discernment. Otherwise, it's saying, be on guard, because otherwise you will be drawn in by these evil women and men who only seek to bring you down and seek to harm you, and will do so in charming ways that make it seem like they're drawing you in to indoctrinate you against under false pretenses. And if you're unaware, if you're not on guard, if you're not listening to that little voice, then you can easily be drawn in and drawn into bad situations that will end up bringing yourself down.
Yeah, that's really great. I love that. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Proverbs because I think when I think of discernment, to me, it's, all of Proverbs is good for discernment just because when we know Proverbs teach us is what's everything is about what's good, what's bad, what's good, what's bad, and when you know what's good according to God, then you have the ability to be able to discern, whether or not something is good or bad for you. And it's kind of like, I like a very basic example of, you know, discernment is when you see that dark alley and you make the decision about whether or not you, as a woman by yourself, at 11 o'clock at night, would be safe to walk down that dark alley. Discernment is going to tell you, that's risky for me. I probably should not walk down there. So, yeah, I love that the example that you gave talks about, what's a bad woman? Where's that going to take you? They're not going to come back. And how to be good. That has a lot to do with it about judging right from wrong, evil, from good, and things like that.
And yeah, and like that dark alley that you talk about could be anything. I mean, so
Yeah.
if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. You don't need to rationalize it. You just need to protect yourself and trust that trust that voice, trust that inner voice. If
Mm.
it's not good, if it's not, you know, open, if it's not possible, if it's not wise, don't do it. But if it is good, if it is possible, if it is wise, if it's available to you, then by all means go for it, even if it doesn't seem like it's possible. I mean, that's where, you have to do with man, things are impossible, but with God, all things are possible. So I'm not saying, if it feels right, go with it, because that's where you can get drawn in. But if it's that, gut feeling and everything, checks out, um, then yeah, I mean, don't don't hesitate, but be very hesitant and be very protective if you feel like something is wrong. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt that voice.
Right. I love that. And I think, one of the things that we can definitely get into more next week is, there's a really good verse in the Bible, 1 John 4:1, and it says, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world." I think that's exactly, to the point that you're making, Sherry,
Yeah,
about testing the spirits and um, discerning whether or not it's from God. And spirits being people, being relationships, being situations, and making sure that the things that you're doing feel that they're from God. And how do we know what is from God? That's from reading the Word. Everything kind of goes back to reading the Word. So, what do you want to wrap up? What are we going to
yeah.
talk about next week?
There's no other way to know God's voice other than reading the word and getting to know it and making that, the dialogue that's
Right.
in your head. And that's where it comes from. And just let me just do real quick. Ephesians 5, 6 to 10. It says, "For at one time you were let no one deceive you with empty words. For because of these things the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore do not become partners with them. For the one time For at one time you were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light, for the fruit of light is found in all that is good and right and true. And try to discern what is pleasing to the Lord."
Right. Yeah. Actually, it is right.
So it's a matter of, knowing what's right and true, which we all do know. We all have moral law. We all know, the Ten Commandments, and we all know, Jesus with truth, light, goodness. And if it lines up with that, it's good for you. If it doesn't, then it's not good for you.
Might want
And
to pass on
like Jen said, that goes for people and situations, and because there are evil people.
it.
Unfortunately, there are.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit more next week and how you can protect yourself because definitely in the Bible, God tells us to guard our hearts. And, there's some things it's
That's
with discernment. It's, what's kind of like the afterburn, like do you feel bad about protecting yourself? Like I think a lot of women run into that sometimes is that they can feel the discernment, they can feel, what they want to do, but are they listening to themselves or do they do what they want to do and then, afterwards they feel guilty because they've let somebody down or other things. So yeah,
absolutely. And
yeah, we can get
listening
into that
to
next week.
they're listening to voices outside of themselves that are
And
making
the
them
word.
feel guilty.
Yeah, and Jesus. Yeah. All
Yes,
right.
you got
Love it.
it. Yeah.
Perfect. And we'd love to know what you think. So, drop us a comment. Let us know. What does discernment mean to you? Because we'd love to talk about and hear your thoughts as well. So, thanks
Absolutely.
for, tuning in real quick. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye bye.